I had brought up in a recent video that the rot we have going on in Western society is due to a lack of healthy myth and ritual. This is because without it, the ego mind's connection with the underworld or the subconscious is lost. Thus, the relationship between the ego and the subconscious is like living in a tiny house with a stranger, and not only a stranger, but a stranger who doesn't speak the same language as you and who gets violent from time to time for no good reason, which is not an ideal situation for healthy living. For hundreds of thousands of years, we human beings partook in the song of myth and the dance of ritual to such an extent it was a part of our being. Life without it was unthinkable, and telling someone to stop partaking would be like telling them to stop eating or breathing. It was innate, ingrained. And I'm not just talking about the rites of ancient polytheism. What I'm saying is this tradition continued up and throughout the Christian era, all the way up into the 19th century. Because even though we on the left-hand path are not crazy about the Abrahamic myths and rituals, one reason being the vilification of the shadow self, they still allowed some entry into the subconscious. Well, beginning with the Enlightenment and later Darwin and other thinkers, things began to change. Don't get me wrong, I have an endless respect for these great minds, because without them we wouldn't have such innovations as modern democratic republics, advanced science, medicine, and technology. But there was an unfortunate side effect, and that was the disconnect. That disconnect with what we are inside and what we've always been. We became so transfixed on understanding this conscious reality, whatever that is, we neglected that inner reality. And as the psychological and sociological foundations began to crumble in the 19th century, strange beliefs, sects, and denominations began to emerge. This could even be seen within the Christian community with the formation of the Mormons, the Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Christian Scientists. Also, it was during this period that spiritualism became popular among the upper crust of North America and Britain with their mediums, homeopaths, and clairvoyants. While in France, in the age of the Moulin Rouge, Cancan, and absinthe, Parisian Satanism was born, and in Germany there was the Volkisch movement spurred on by German Romanticism. This period also gave birth to the political isms, such as socialism, communism, and eventually fascism. Now, all these examples are attempts at reconciling with the deeper aspects of the self in a world starved of meaning. Even the political examples, because most who delve into those philosophies tend to believe them with the zealotry of a religious fanatic. Human beings need meaning and to understand where they fit in this world. And when I say meaning, I'm not talking about the meaning of life, because that doesn't fucking matter. I'm talking about a meaning to life, giving your life meaning. And for many thousands of years, rites of passage were a way of doing this, to help us find our place in this world. Now, sure, there are still some rites of passage or coming-of-age rituals here in the Western world, benign traditions such as the Jewish bar mitzvah, Sweet 16 parties, and the Hispanic quinceañera. Hell, I even had a rite of passage of sorts when my father, a lifelong biker, took me to get a tattoo back in 1977 when I turned 17. Yes, I'm that old. Tattoos weren't all that common back then, so I felt like a rebel. But when I say rites of passage, I mean the grueling type that turn a boy into a man and often, in the ancient past, into a warrior. This has been ignored in our society, and we're suffering the repercussions because testosterone can turn young males into violent morons. This isn't just in the human animal, but can also be seen in our fellow mammals from apes to elephants. Young males need that guidance into manhood, and if they don't get it from their elders, they'll look elsewhere. We've known this truth for many thousands of years. We had it figured out, but modernity has ignored it and tossed it to the wayside. One example of an ancient rite of passage would be the Spartan agoge, a 13-year-long physical, military, religious, and moral education and what a boy would need to become a man. And this tradition could also be found in the ancient Celtic, Germanic, and Indo-Iranian societies where young men often left their families to become part of warrior cults. Going back even further in history to roughly 6,000 years ago and to the time of the Proto-Indo-Europeans, it is hypothesized there was the Koryos, a cultic warrior brotherhood inspired by wolf packs. Besides Odin's berserkers and the wild hunt, reminders of the transcendent importance of the Koryos can also be seen in the wild hunt of Rudra of the Vedic traditions. Acknowledgement of these gods through frenzied activity is important, for they are gods of rage, storms, and death, possibly stemming from a common origin, that original mask of the archetype now lost to antiquity. A dark god revered 6,000 years ago, a mask of an archetype that does not like to be ignored. In conclusion, I'm not expecting anyone to put on animal skins and go howling into the night. My point is this: we, human beings, lived a life filled with myth and ritual for 100,000 years or better, and to stop doing so has led to chaos in our souls. And any arbitrary rules and laws will not end that chaos. Only a connection or a reconnection with the soul will. And we wonder why society is falling apart. Until next time.